think Magnus has scored 3.5 out of 4 since he trimmed his hair a few days back. So yeah, he's on a streak, and it'll be fascinating to see whether he can gain ground.
Yeah, he absolutely, and I've seen people praise it. I think Romain Edouard posted some messages on Twitter saying that he still feels that Magnus is one of a kind, because very few people, in particular in a field like this, losing 2 very disappointing games against Giri and Nodirbek, a lot of people would have gone into their shell a little bit and perhaps, would have tried sort of coasting to a degree. And again, not my year. I'll have more years of this, obviously. Magnus, after losing those 2 years, as you mentioned, just tearing it up. And the one draw he made, there was this really mad QGA, which Jordan ended up actually not losing to Parham, right?
Yeah,
even though he probably should have.
He really, really should have. That started with e4, e5, knight of 3, bishop check, knight c3 if I remember correctly.
And he went for b5, 95 castles. Somewhere, 95 b5, I think, f3 castles, and somewhere here, it really did seem that he probably misremembered something.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Abdusattorov won't play with fire in this game when he doesn't really need to as black. So he's probably got a more solid approach in mind. Anish, meanwhile, is considering whether to play e4, super ambitious, or maybe some of the more traditional lines with e3. But it is e4, e5 again, Peter. Could we see lightning strike twice?
Yeah, that would be very, very curious, because there's a number of positions here that could be quite wild, and there's also this line. But I get the feeling this line is being phased out because people it no longer has the advantage of being entirely unexpected. This thing that people were doing a bit last year, where the starting position appears to be something like this, and they begin playing from here, which is already absolutely random, and you have no idea what's going on and why are these people on these squares. There was very much the main line, and there were endless games by Sergei Rublevsky, starting with knight c6, castles, queen f6, or however it was going in those days.
And knight d2 is also a move, I guess, knight bd2. So there's kind of 3 options. I'm not sure the state of this these days. It's quite rare.
I was going to say, it's a perfectly legal move, and there's no reason why it shouldn't be playable, but I don't believe I've seen this very much at the top level, and I have sort of stopped looking at the QGA properly a long time ago, so I
think some hustlers were playing this back in the day, and c3 here for black, and it gets a bit crazy, but like you say, it's out of fashion, so we'll see what Anish has in store.
And if knight c3 does happen, I would expect Nodirbek to just go for something, quote unquote sane, as we were describing in that game between Parham and Jordan. The sane options include something like this, with the idea of going knight bc6, perhaps bishop b7, even castle long. it's a kind of a curious situation where neither white nor black, it feels, really wants to touch anything on the queen side at all.
Yeah.
Because as long as these guys stay on their starting squares, the white king on c5 is sort of the full extent of where you can get to with this knight. With the knight, is a knight, it's a king. But it still can't get any further. And white also doesn't really want to play 4a5 in particular because it will present a target for black to play against. Or perhaps just straight up swap 2 for 1 and generate activity on the other flank, which is also a very well established, time-honored way of holding knight endgames, or any endgames. So how would you go about things here?
Like you, I would be inclined to maybe do something with the black h pawn, maybe h5.
Yeah, but I was trying to understand just how happy I was about, let's say, this position, because knight h6, knight f5, we continue. But maybe it's just fine.
Maybe just knight f4.
We just put it on
Sit
f4
tight.
and...
I like this idea because there's ideas of just kind of knight d3 check and go back, and maybe sometimes you go round. But at the very least, you kick white's king away and you say you're not going to enter.
Mm-hmm.
If the white king can't sit on c5 forever, then there'll be no way it's going to enter.
Mm-hmm.
I like this for black. I was also wondering if I can play like a similar idea, maybe in the start position. If Nodirbek is afraid of touching his h-pawn and thinks it might become a target, then maybe something like knight c6, b8, d7. I'm assuming knight c6 forces knight f5 to stop knight.
Pretty much, yeah. I don't think we can allow knight d4 for sure, yeah.
Unless the white knight can attack something, then knight d7 check is just, again, going to drive the king slightly further
I
on.
like this, actually. Yeah, just moving it away from c5, perhaps introducing, let's say, if white does... It's very difficult to find this stupid pass. Yeah, I don't think it is, but that would be one way to explain a somewhat odd choice of move.
I guess king h2 does prepare b4, because if b4 in the last move, queen d1 check would have picked up a pawn. So yeah, maybe you're right, Peter. Maybe he was just trying to block the opponent's plans, but it does feel a bit...
Looks like Anish's endgame disappeared just as we were watching it, which I guess indicates that they weren't... he just offered to draw with g3. And then I'm really... has Nodirbek actually thought with black about continuing there? Because it looked like that position was on the board for quite a while. This is
an ambitious guy, Nodirbek.
Yeah, unusual. And in the meantime, there's some development